So, my wife is out of town and has left me alone with the kids, so I have now given up all basic hygiene. But you will soon forget about my grizzled loner in the woods appearance because of what I have in store for you today. So, Armagnac, I'm pretty sure the reason why most people, at least, get into Armagnac is, I mean, it's got tons of history and it's very, very, very cool. But I think the reason most people come in initially is because it's a very cheap way to get older spirit, right? Whoa, I have $100 and I can buy, stuff over 20 years old all day long, like that. And that's great, but it leads to, let's say, an overemphasis. I think it leads to an overemphasis on age in the category. So I wanted to do a little head-to-head of old Armagnacs versus young Armagnacs to see which is actually better. We will decide the issue here. We will put the zoomers up against the boomers, and we shall see. Does age result in greater balance and poise and complexity, or does it just result in being flat and thin and over-oaked? On the other hand, does being young result in, being brighter and more energetic, or does it just make you a big old hot mess? Let's find out together. Okay, we're gonna do 4 head-to-heads. Best score wins, and we're gonna be ascending in order of ABV. So these are the lowest ABVs of the bunch. And what do we got? So among the young ones, we have got a Baraillon. This is a 5-year-old Domaine Baraillon, and so it's in one of those packagings like the 20-year-old where they don't actually say Baraillon on here anywhere. It says Claverie. You basically have to figure it out. But it's 5 years old, 45% alcohol by volume, a blend of different grapes, Baco, Ugni Blanc, and Colombard, I think. And I had to buy this because Baraillon's one of my favorite houses, and the idea of a cheap 5-year-old out from them is just very funny to me. So I kind of had to. But if there's just no way. Like this is gonna be good. We shall see. Anyways, it is up against a Domaine. I'm going to do the best I can with this. Domaine de Poutëou, something like that, which is another Bas-Armagnac from 1979. So this has got what, roughly, 40 years, or at least 35 to 40 years or so on this guy. I couldn't find a great blend on this, but it is 43.5%. It's a hair bit weaker. So let's get started. Let's nose and taste these. All right, and we shall start with the young'un. All right, so we're getting a lot of black pepper. There's some raisininess, some figs. A lot of French oak, touches of dried flowers. A little mud, which I always like to see in my Baraillon. I mean, it's not showing overt signs of just being, too darn young. It just smells like a young Armagnac. If you handed this to me, I would think it was 10 or 12 on the nose. I mean, 5 is the minimum age, right? So who knows? There could be older stock in here. I don't know. Yeah, there's a little clove, a little cinnamon stick as well, but a lot of it is very sort of primary on that, on the dried fruit, on the pepper, on a kind of overstewed black tea, maybe overstewed Yunnan tea. I'm trying to get better on my teas. Hints of dark roast Sumatra coffee. All right, see what happens on the palate. I just realized I left my eyedropper in there. Damn it. Oh. This is actually pretty good. These bastards. They just don't miss. All right. Criticisms first. This is very forward on the palate. There's not a lot of mouth length on this. It's kind of just stopping around my molars. It doesn't have a lot of action beyond that. That being said, I'm going to add some water in a little bit, and that may fix that. Beyond that, the mouth presence is actually pretty good. There's lots of like just grippy, overstewed tea tannins in there, like overstewed Assam tea. Yeah, there's lots of dried fruit in this. Your raisins, figs, couple of prunes, but there's also a big old bright slice of like orange zest running through this, which is really very pleasant. Yeah, this overstewed tea thing, pepper, little cinnamon stick, but it's like used cinnamon stick. It's got most of it juiced out of it already. Nutmeg. That kind of muddy, maybe more like wet campfire ash kind of thing, which I really like in Baraillons. God, yeah, I mean, it's just a really, really competent younger Baraillon. It hasn't developed those crazy like lemon bar notes, which I love in the older stuff, but this is already looking pretty good to me. And if you allow me, I'm going to pause and come back with an eyedropper so I can give this some water. And we are back, and I have my eyedropper. Give this a squirt. Sorry, my mind is not super duper here today. It is difficult doing an entire like morning routine and summer camp drop off all on my own. I can do it. It's just it takes a little bit. All right, let's come back to that and move on to the Poutëou. Whatever. Brought the extra big water glass today. All right, so this is considerably older. Let's see what it's got. Ooh. So my first, this is going to sound crazy. My first thought is I'm wondering if this is accidentally a bourbon. No, I don't think it is. But it's got like this, like, or maybe not even a bourbon. Maybe like an American oak aged rum agricole or something. It's got that kind of like grassy, like dried gingery, sawdusty thing that you can sometimes get on bourbon. That's wild. What is that doing there? Also a fair amount of white pepper. Some like Russian caravan tea happening. Dried cherries. This is like an imaginary blend. Take an American oak aged agricole, sorry, and then like blend that half and half with like I don't know, like an old cognac or something, an old Borderies or something. There's some flowers coming through, dried flowers, but also like just some fresh daisies. A little bit of a cocoa powder kind of thing happening as well. Like a little sage as well. A little bit of herbaceousness. Very unusual profile for an Armagnac, but let's see what it's got. Yeah, no, that give me a second to work through what this is doing. Okay, so it's got it's got a kind of orangey, lemony. Imagine. Okay, start with this. You're gonna juice like an orange and a lemon, and you're gonna mix it around with some melted dark chocolate. Okay, I know that sounds crazy, but go with me. Some like very coarsely ground dark chocolates. There's lots of big chunks in there too. Maybe just dump some mud in there for fun as well. And you kind of drink that, but then you add like some flowers in there to mix around. I don't know, Baraillon. You're good, but I might like this more. Again, it's very high-toned, as we say in the wine world. It's not... So, as compared to, say, older Baraillons, that doesn't have that sort of aggressive bass note. There's not sort of a big woody attack on this. There's some tea tannins. There's a little bit of a, like a tannic grip on here, but it doesn't last for very long. The finish is actually pretty light on its feet, which is not to say bad. It's a good finish. It's just like, this feels like more of a session Armagnac than like a, big serious, profound old spirit. Mm-hmm. Some raisins, some grassiness. That sawdusty thing is there. Very, very interesting. Very, very fun. I'm not sure what to think of this. It's very off profile for Armagnac, especially for old Armagnac, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. All right, back to the Baraillon, which might be a little bit behind going in the second round, but if it can fix that mouth length problem, it might still pull away with this. And this thing was like, it saw this one developing like orange and lemon notes, and it was like, hey, I can play that same game. Now this one is starting to throw some like lemon bars and orange slice candy at me. But there's that kind of Baraillon mud thing going on too. 5 years old. Like, this is, by 5-year-old Armagnac standards, this is not cheap. I think it's like €40 or something. But it's showing what it's got on the palate. I mean, what can you get at this price? Right? I mean, there's the entry-level Delordes and Marie Dufaus, and which are just nowhere near this. You got like, you got the entry-level, what is it? The full blanche cast strength things, which the Perquie, sorry, those are good. Those might be a hair bit better than this, but yeah, wow, this is, for something at this age and at this price range, this is not fair. Chocolate. Just mix some dark chocolate around with some flowers. A little bit of, not even like actual fruit, just like some Crème Marnier or something. And tons and tons of overstewed black tea. Yeah, that whole problem with the mouth length thing has fixed itself. Terrific mouth presence. Again, especially terrific when you take the agent statement into consideration and the price point. What am I going to give it this? Can I get up to 86? I don't think I can get up to 86. I will give it an 85 plus. 5 plus. And yeah, let's see where the Poutëou went with water. God. That nose is so It just not Armagnac. It is so. It presents bourbon. I'm sorry, it does. Not really any development on the nose since before. It's a nice nose. It's very unusual for the style. Um, on the palate. Uh, Also, not really any development on the palate. Maybe it gets a hair bit more grippy. The tannins maybe come out a little bit more. I don't know. This is very close. This is much closer than I expected this to be. Um, Tang. I like both of these a lot, actually. But I don't. Neither one is sort of crushing me. But the quality is very high. I love the acid on this. I love the. It's again. It doesn't crush my mouth. It's not profound in any way, but it's very gentle and refreshing, and I enjoy that. Yeah, I'm gonna give this a little bit of a higher score. I think this pulls it out. I'm gonna call this an 86 out of 100. And yeah, that is the first matchup to the olds. Oh. Put that off to the side. All right, moving on to match number 2. Oh, that only took 17 minutes. Oh God, we're gonna be here forever. All right, now I know. I said this would be the olds versus the youngs. This one is not that young. It's a 1999, but it's one of the youngest in my collection right now. This is a Charron Bas-Armagnac. It's a 21-year-old. Get that thing poured, and it is up against. So this is 100% Baco, which is kind of fun. And this one is a Darroze pick, which I need to do more of. They're a really cool, important bottler. Domaine de Charron, which is also Bas-Armagnac. I do not know anything about the grape blend on this or the estate really, but it's from Darroze. It is old. It's a 1976. So you got a 21-year-old versus a 45-year-old. Battled the generations. Let's go. All right, starting off with the Charron. Actually, have some water. It's a quieter nose than actually any of the two from the previous flight. I'm getting some cinnamon, some cardamom, black pepper. Oh, okay, it's kicking out. Ooh, now there's some like peach coming through, which I like. Peach, a little what is that? Not gummy worms. You know, the Swedish fish. It smells like Swedish fish and peach. And some dried cherries. And maybe like one prune. And some nice, again, black tea is going to be a fixture on all these flights. It smells like overstewed black tea. Okay, good, classy Armagnac note. Let's see what's happening on the palate. Yeah, very, very classical, just kind of straight down the middle. Lots of fruit. So we are getting raisins, more raisins, figs, prunes, some dates. A little touch of dried apricot, dried peach as well. Cinnamon, cardamom again, clove, and like a very nice kind of drying, old furniture kind of thing. A mix of overstewed tea and old furniture happening. I can still identify this as a relatively young Armagnac. It hasn't developed a ton of those weird tertiary flavors, but it's showing age. Yeah, it's like you took a shot of black tea and then like licked a chair or something. Really nice. Yeah. All right. Let's see what the Domaine de la Gardenne has got. Again, 1976, 45 years old, 45.2% alcohol versus this one. Oh, I never mentioned the ABVs. This one is 48.5, so a little bit stronger. And the Gardenne. I know this is going to sound crazy, but the first thought that comes to mind is high C. What kind of high C? Like fruit punch high C. That's absolutely what this smells like. Like, imagine you're in a dusty cellar that has never seen human existence for a half century. You step into the dusty cellar and you like just crack open a big old thing of high C and you just smell it. That's kind of what you're getting. Lots and lots and lots of fruit with that halo of like sort of musty old wood going on. Let's see if I can get beyond. This has gummy bears in it, definitely. Orange, peach, apricot, lots of stone fruit. Touch of like dessert apple, like super sweet red apple. Yeah, I'm trying to get away from the high C, and that's most of the note. It's just so fruity. All right, on the palate. Despite the intense fruitiness on the nose, on the palate, this is actually pretty darn close to the Charron. Dusty, musty stuff, take a shot of tea and lick some old furniture, with a nice core of kind of dried fruity stuff. So figs, raisins, a little dried apricot. It's a little bit more floral, maybe, than the Charron was. Did I add water to this? I didn't add water to this. I am being negligent. Sorry, Charron. Yeah, despite the age difference, like these are actually kind of on par. I mean, the noses are more different than the palates are, for my taste. Yeah. There's a little bit of a minerality thing in there, a couple of pebbles thrown into the mix of old furniture and fruit. But overall, very, very similar. Both have really good mouth presence. Let's see if water splits them up. A couple more drops. All right. back to the Charron. Okay, now this is kicking out a little bit of honey, which I appreciate. There's just orange blossom honey and cinnamon. You want to talk about the advantages of like youth in spirit? Here it is. This just smells fresh and vibrant. I know it's still 21 years old, but it smells more fresh than the Poutëou was. Yeah, the honey cinnamon, like they still had all that the dried fruit and everything in the back, but the honey cinnamon thing has really kicked in. Just like a root beer thing coming through. Yeah, this one likes water. On the palate. Ooh. So we just added a little bit of, okay, so go to your local fast food places, soft drink machine, mix some root beer in with some like whatever orange soda they have. Maybe if they have orange Faygo, go for that. Maybe like even pineapple Faygo, orange Faygo. Go for that one. Mix together your root beer and your orange pineapple Faygo. That's kind of what this tastes like now. Except it's also got the overstewed tea and the old furniture thing. Oh, that's delicious. That's righteous. Yeah, if you have this bottle, give it some water, man. I mean, it just opens up beautifully with a couple of drops. Trust me. Score-wise, I'll go 87 on this. I'm not completely crushed and in love with it, but I'm pretty in love with it. I like this a lot. 87 points. And let us move on, or rather return to the Domaine de la Gardenne. Okay, so with water, on this one, the wood has kind of come out a little bit. It's kind of pulling back the high C madness I was getting before. Yeah, much more kind of like chopped up wood and overstewed tea now. There's still that high C, intensely fruity thing in the background, but much less dominant than it was. No, I mean, it's still there. On the palate. Certainly darker and more serious and more tannic than the Charron was, but I don't think it's necessarily better. And this is where the question of like youth versus age comes in. Is this one, the Gardenne, more grippy? Yes, it absolutely is. But that additional grippiness kind of throws off the balance a little bit. Let me try this. Try the Charron one more time. Yeah, this is where like old spirits can sometimes trick you. Pay attention to the finish. The wood tannins hold on this thing for a long, long, long time. But give yourself the sort of mental instruction. Look beyond the tannins. What else is there in the finish beyond the tannins? And what I'm noticing is everything else fades at about the same rate of this as the Charron does. Like, it's really only the tannins that are sticking around for like beyond a minute. It's still darn good, though. I mean, these are both just very good. Let me try this one more time. I might adjust my score. It's just the Charron is just better balanced. Yeah, this is another close one. I'm going to change the Charron score. I'm going to go 87 plus. I really enjoy what it does in the palate with water. And I'm going to stick... The Jardin is still very good. I'm going to give it an 87. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to give it to the youngins this time. I think the Charron is just a hair bit more balanced, more fresh, and kind of just more darn pleasant to drink. That said, if you like oak tannins, I understand. You know, you do you. All right, let's move on to match 3. I did not think these would be this close when I arranged these matchups. All right, there's a Lencantata on the table. And, oh, by the way, it's the youngest Lencantata I've ever seen. This, sent to me, the 2 Lencantatas on the table were sent to me by PM Spirits for free. Just flagging that. It's kind of that kind of week, actually. If you see me, you know, driving around the south side of Chicago in a brand new pink Infinity or something, it's all the PM bucks. That's what's going on. All right, so we have got a Cutxan 2005. I'm sorry, the next one is the youngest Lencantata I've ever seen. This is still pretty darn young, though. 52.2% alcohol by volume. This is from their Renaissance range, and it is 17 years old. And it's going up against the oldest thing here. This is a Rounagle. Sorry, doing the best I can with the name. 1967 from the Ténarèze. Everything else here is from Bas-Armagnac. It's only the Rounagles which are from Ténarèze. So I am darn excited to try these two. We'll start with the Cutxan. Again, 50.2%. I think this is all Baco, if I remember correctly. I've been hot and cold on Cutxan. We'll see how this one fares. Sorry, I know dead air is no good on the YouTube, so I'm trying to wrap my head around this. So I'm getting a lot of like kind of a chocolate orange, dark chocolate orange that's been rolled around in topsoil. Yeah. There's also a lot of floral notes on this. Some dried flowers, but also some maybe some fresh violets in there. Even some rose water. Raisin, dried cherry. White pepper, of course. A little clove. That's about it for the nose. It's really kind of dominated by that kind of chocolate orange, kind of like topsoily chocolate orange note. Very grungy, very rustic Armagnac kind of nose on the palate. This is the highest ABV of anything on the table, and you can kind of feel it. It's a little, it feels a little bit like if I breathed out and kind of lit a little lighter, I would be breathing fire. But that's also maybe a symptom of the cask. It's some very active wood in here. There's a lot of cinnamon, cardamom, clove, and it's that like kind of almost aniseedy. You know how clove can almost kind of feel aniseedy? So let's just throw aniseed in there. There's some aniseed notes in here. Yeah, very aggressive on the wood. But you know what? I like it. It's what have we got? We have got, beyond all the kind of woody, spicy stuff, there's again that kind of floral thing. Dried flowers, hint of rose and violet. That kind of chocolate orange thing again. Darjeeling. I was trying to think of the tea, and yeah, but it's Darjeeling. It's totally Darjeeling. And yeah, it's very pleasant. But if I gotta say, there's honestly not a whole ton of a lot to this. It's mouth presence is pretty good. Mouth length is still a little bit short, although water might help with that. Let's add some more. And yeah, it's got a lot of kind of chocolate orangey notes, floral notes. It's nice. It's fun. I'll come back to it in a sec. See what water does. All right, now the Rounagle. This is the first Ténarèze on the table. And it is the oldest thing here, 1967. The picture of the bottle I saw suggested this was bottled in 2022, but it spent, quote, more than 50 years in oak. And if you do the math, that means it had to spend at least some of those years in like a big demijohn or something. 47.3%. Very quiet on the nose. Oh. It smells kind of like a fruit cake. Yeah, like a musty fruit cake. Lots of dried fruit. Cakiness. Like spices, baking spices, Christmas spices. I know that sounds a little bit generic, but it's hard to pick more specific stuff out of this. Okay, there's a little bit of like cinnamony apricot climbing through now. More raisin happening. The more time I spend nosing this and swirling it, the more it seems to come alive, which is a good sign. Okay, yeah, lots more cinnamon. But yeah, it's mainly fruitcake. It's not getting like more specific than that, really, on the palate. Ooh. On the palate, this has a little bit more to say. Really fun, like toasted lemon peel kind of acidity going on, which I enjoy. Heck of a lot of tannins. Overstewed Darjeeling, like a little bit aromatic tea. fruitcakey note. What is that? It's almost. Imagine you, instead of like making a fruitcake, you decided instead, I'm going to make like a fruitcake stew, and you just threw a whole fruitcake in a pan with some like, you just poured a whole bottle of red wine in there, not a pan, like a Dutch oven or something, and you put it on the stove for like 2 hours and boiled it all down. That's kind of what this tastes like. It's like spicy, lemony fruitcake stew. A lot of coffee on this as well. Like dried coffee grounds, but also like just a fresh shot of like super duper grapefruity artisanal espresso. Yeah, this just has a little bit more character than the Cutxan. I'm sorry to say. Sorry, Cutxan. But you know what? It's going to be the water that tells the tale. So we're going to add some water to this and come back to it. The nose on this Rounagle 67 wasn't super duper exciting me, but the palate is, quite nice. Not exceptional, not super exceptional, but very nice indeed. So I'm going to add some water, a couple more drops, and back to the Cutxan. On the nose. Okay. This has really changed with the addition of water. It now smells like. There was one time, and I forget the brand, but pineapple bubblegum did exist, and this smells like pineapple bubblegum. Totally. So take your pineapple bubblegum, put a little bit of like black pepper and Darjeeling tea and cinnamon powder on there. Throw some flowers in for fun. Yeah, okay. Now this is coming around for me. Now I'm starting to see why they picked this for the Renaissance series. Okay. That's a very, very cool nose. It's estery. It actually reminds me a little bit of that Tormore, the single malt I reviewed a couple of weeks ago. It's got that kind of like same fruity, estery kind of character. There's almost like a caramel thing going on. All right, on the palate. If there was an award for most improved with water, this would be a candidate. This is much better with water. Oh God, absolutely. The mouth presence is much improved. This is so much just like more spicy and delicious. There is like a like almost a sweet Thai curry thing like ripping through my mouth right now. Imagine if you threw some French oaky dried fruit into your like sweet, slightly sweet Thai curry, and that's kind of what this tastes like. Great mouth length. It's kind of starting to tickle my mouth a little, my throat a little bit. Good finish. It's starting to do that kind of pineapple bubblegum estery thing that was happening on the nose. Not as much as on the nose. Do I like this more than the Charron? I might like this more than the Charron. Hold on. I like this more than the Charron. I didn't like it more than the Charron, like, going into this, but I do now. Hell yes. One more time. This is terrific. I mean, it's Lannemaignan, so it's not cheap. Bear that in mind. It's especially for a 17-year-old Armagnac. This is not going to be cheap, but it kind of brings it if you're willing to be patient with it and add a little bit of water. I'm going to give this. I'm going to give this like an 88 plus. But bear in mind that that's like I was maybe in like 86 plus territory before I added water. It was really like this jumped up like 2 points at least with the addition of water. So, if you got a bottle of this, bear that in mind. All right, back to the Rounagle. Nose hasn't really picked up with water, but the nose was not kind of the selling point in this initially. Yeah, it's still kind of like musty fruitcake. And that's fine. It's what's on the palate that matters, and what's on the palate is... It's exactly the same. I mean, it's a little bit more tannic, which I'm not super duper happy with, but other than that, it's kind of the same. It's got that kind of bright, a little bit of that bright acid thing, the burned lemon, fruit-cakey elements, tea. I mean, it's a good Armagnac, but for me, like this is on par with what was it, the Gardenne from last flight. Let me try that again. Yeah, they're basically right there. I'm going to give this an 87 too. And before you ask, yes, I did carb load before reviewing this. I had some oxtail from last night, and I just basically ate a ton of white rice. And that is why I'm able to still articulate myself after this much Armagnac. 87 points. That is not how I expected that to go. I expected the Cutxan to get kind of blown out there. But no, like this is pretty damn good actually. Cutxan is starting to come around for me after a few rough bottles that I tried initially. All right, let's go for the last flight. The youngs are up by 1, so the olds cannot win this, but they can still tie it, and this might be their best chance. We have got another Rounagle. This is an 84. So what? 37 years old. Up against another Lannemaignan. So we're kind of redoing the match from last time. But this is the Lahitte from 2017. This is the youngest Lannemaignan I have ever seen. Ever. So I'm darn curious to try this and see how it fares against something that is, almost 8 times as old. Okay, so again, and just as a bonus, it's another kind of Bas-Armagnac versus Ténarèze battle. Maybe I'm not as sober as I thought. Okay, let's start out with the Lahitte. This is Ugni Blanc and Colombard, according to my notes. Ooh, 53.8% ABV. It's kind of showing. It's a little bit nippy. In some ways, this reminds me of the Poutëou. It's kind of doing that same like American oak agricole thing. So it's a little grassy. It's a little floral. There's some sawdust. It smells very, very, very oaky. I mean, in a fun way. I mean, it doesn't smell like completely off balance or anything, but it's definitely got a lot of oak on it. There is, oh come on, what is that? Almost like a peach pit kind of thing. It's fruit, but it's almost, yeah, like the pit of a fruit rather than the actual like fruit. There's a little bergamot creeping through. Heck of a lot of just wood, just chopped up wood, old furniture that's been chopped up. Not even old, just like fresh furniture that's been chopped up. Huh. Oh, and lots of pepper as well. I'm having trouble like distinguishing notes beyond that. All right, on the palate. First off, I can see why they bottled this. I can see why they picked it, because there are going to be a heck of a lot of bourbon folks who have converted to Armagnac who are going to try this and absolutely love it. There is a like brown sugar note to this, which is absolutely undeniable, and it just presents very, very sweet and delicious. Brown sugar, vanilla, lots of bourbon-y stuff going on, dried cherry. Is there some Armagnac-y stuff going on too? Of course there is. There's some like oolong tea happening. There's some grassiness happening. I guess that's also a bourbon-y thing, depending on which bourbon. A couple of daffodils in there. I mean, there's a lot of wood. Intense, tea tannins, wood tannins. But, I mean, if you're paying attention, there's not a lot happening in the back of the mouth. Mouth length is kind of short. The finish, beyond the tannins, kind of falls away pretty quickly. Like, and I know the wood regime on this is absolutely crazy. I'm not going to go through it. Despite the wood regime on this, it's still showing, like, as a 5-year-old. Like, even the Baraillon here, presented as an older spirit than this does. Let me give it one more shot. I mean, if you like that kind of initial rush of woody sweetness, like, I'm not going to take that away from you. This has got that, and it's delicious. But if you start to pay attention to what it does beyond that, to the structure of it, you can start to poke holes. I'm going to give this some water. We'll come back to it. Don't know how much. I'm going to say 3, but I'm not really sure. Let's start with 3. I'm going to go like half a squirt more. Just half a squirt. Yeah. All right, moving on. Back to the Rounagle. This is the cask 84-3, 37 years old. And this is all, I think this is all Ugni Blanc, yeah? Yes, Ugni Blanc. Lots of coffee. So yeah, it imagine brewing yourself a beautiful cup of morning coffee, and then you're gonna put some like cinnamon, in, like a cinnamon stick in there, and then dunk just a little bit of Dr. Pepper in there as well. And that's kind of what this smells like. It's got the pruny Dr. Pepper thing with some cinnamon and a lot of coffee. Look at the color on this, Jesus. Black pepper, of course. Figs, yeah. I'm trying to find the distillate and struggling a little bit. There's like half a flower in there, like, you know, like half a daffodil. But that's okay. That's okay. So these are, it's what I'm getting here is from these two is 2 different approaches to just slamming a ton of wood into your Armagnac. All right, let's see what happens on the palate. Very, very woody, very, very tannic. Yeah. I would just say, this Rounagle, if you are a Len Cantata person, if you really, really like that style, that kind of like French oak forward style, I think you would like this just as much as you like the Lahitte here. Gun to my head, would I like to have some more fruit on the Rounagle, the 84? Yes. Would I like to have some more floral character? Yes, I absolutely would. But the onslaught of like overstewed coffee and overstewed tea and like black pepper and like super duper 99% cacao dark chocolate, the darkness on this, it still kind of works. Yep. There's a little bit of a nuttiness, a little bit of fig, like fig butter maybe, and a little bit of that kind of like same burned lemon peel, toasted lemon peel thing as I was getting on the 67. Not as much, but it's there. In some ways, this does remind me of the Gardenne, which is just, there's a lot of oak on this, but yeah, in this case, I think it's doing the lots and lots of oak thing a little bit better than Lahitte is. That being said, I haven't added water yet, so we're gonna do that. 1, 2, and we'll come back. is 52%. Is that going to be... Hold on. I'm not going to... I thought I wasn't going to add more water. I'm going to give it like one more drop. One more drop. And we'll move back. All right, back to the Cutxan. Not the Cutxan. Lahitte. Sorry. Yeah. I mean, if you are a bourbon refugee and you have an opportunity to try this, you absolutely should try this. It is so bourbony. I know I was saying that the Poutëou was bourbony. Like, no, this one is really bourbony. Oh, so much like baking spicy stuff and vanilla. That's hilarious. Aggressively oaky. It's fun. It's vibrant. It's kind of aggressive and in your face. I will say with water, that alcohol nip thing I was worried about has gone away. So that's good. I mean, is it my favorite Armagnac profile ever on the nose? Is it? No. Is it the most classical? No, but it's putting a smile on my face, which you can see. And sometimes that's good enough. Let's see what happens on the palate. I was really hoping water would like add more character to this, but it's actually like now the mouth length is just cutting off even further forward in my mouth. Hold on. Yeah, this is really forward in the mouth. Like sometimes you can just tell something is young without looking at the bottle, and it's just based on like, does it stop? Does it go past your molars, or does it like stop there? This stops like even well forward of my molars. It's doing a lot in front of my molars. So we got lots of black pepper, lots of spice. Brown sugar, tea. And again, the tannins, the wood tannins, hold on for a long, long time. There's a lot of oak on this. But everything else kind of falls off pretty quick. In terms of score, it's better than an 84. 85 minus. Let's call this an 85 minus. I think it's the weakest thing on the table, even including the little Baraillon here. It's gonna appeal. I mean, don't get me wrong. This is gonna appeal to a certain kind of palate. A lot. There are a lot of people who are gonna try this, and think it's the most delicious thing ever made. Yeah, and I don't want to deny that, because there is a deliciousness factor here that I don't want to deny. I'm just saying it's not as complete a spirit as some of the other stuff we tried today. Make sense? Kind of, maybe? All right, let's try the Rounagle 84. Hopefully this hasn't become a complete tannin monster with the addition of water. The nose certainly hasn't opened up really any further. Yeah, it's pretty much exactly the same as it was. Which is kind of fine, right? I mean, that's fine. A lot of pepper. A lot of wood, a lot of darkness. It just smells like darkness on the palate. Yeah. A lot of a kind of so a lot of aggressive wood tannins in this, just ripping power with the tannins. But again, you kind of have to keep that from tricking you. You just think, okay, what's beyond the wood? What's beyond the kind of drawing out that my mouth is experiencing right now? And a lot of what's happening is there's some pleasant kind of like cinnamon honey thing, like we had on a previous bottle. Like an alfalfa honey thing. If you've never tried alfalfa honey, it's worth a shot. It's very like spooky, almost cinnamon toast crunchy, like cinnamon toast crunch as if honey. That is what alfalfa honey tastes like, and that's kind of what this tastes like, with an undertone of just like brutal woody tannins. Yeah, for me, this my initial thought is it's kind of on par with the Gardenne. Let me try the Gardenne one more time. Yeah, they're pretty close. I'm going to give this an 87 too. 87 points for the Rounagle 84. And there you have it. The olds win that one. So if my math is correct, I think that's a tie. I think that's 2 against 2. So there you have it. Like, young is not necessarily worse. Old is not necessarily better. And vice versa. I'm trying to find a way to land this thing. I don't got it. Like, what were the surprises? The Cutxan, which is, I think, the best bottle here. Like, this was a huge shock for me. Like, this is a house that I haven't been super duper pro on for, the ones I've tried. But yeah, that's a very good Armagnac right there. Charron was good. Oh, and this guy. This, I know it lost the head-to-head against a much more expensive bottle, but the Baraillon 5-year-old. I mean, if you have 45 odd euros in your hot little hand and you need a good Armagnac, you could do a lot worse than this. I might go for the Perquie 8 first, but short of that, yeah, that's a good pick. And yeah, let's cut it off there. Thanks for watching, and cheers.